Hey everyone, this is Finn, and in this tutorial I am going to show you again, like in class, how to access the Unity standard assets, how to locate them, how to import them into your Unity scene, and how to use the FPS and third-person character controller after you've done that. Let's go ahead and press New to create a new 3D scene, and we are going to rename that scene Unity standard assets, and we're going to wait for that to load. Alright, after your scene loads, go ahead and click this tab right here that says Asset Store. It's going to connect you to the Asset Store. Here, I'm seeing here, I am already logged in. You can see my icon, the green circle with my initials FS inside. Press this drop-down menu on yours, and it should give you the option to sign in with your account. Make sure that you have a Unity personal account. Now I'm just going to search. You can see it's one of the first things that one of the most recent things that I have searched. I am going to type standard assets. And here it is. It's the first one. It says I've purchased it, but remember that it is free, so no worries about purchasing anything. It says right there, free. Now hover over it, click it. Mine is grayed out because I already have it, and it wants me to know that. Tells me when I downloaded and updated this version, which was today, actually. Now you should see this blue button that says import. Click that button. And click import again. Make sure that you have all of these items selected. Now let's take a look at our console. We have some warnings, a few warnings, which is normal when you are trying to download these standard assets for Unity. I don't want you to worry about any of these because they are basically discarding meshes that are not capable to be run in this version of Unity because they are intersecting themselves. That's what it means by self-intersecting here. To clear all of the unnecessary warnings, press clear. Now let's address this error that we get. I'm going to select it. It's going to show me what script it comes from. It is in the utility folder for the standard assets. If I read what the actual error says, it also tells us what script it's from. It actually tells us exactly what line. We don't have to worry about that because we are going to be able to double click that to open up the exact line. First, let's just read what it says. GUI text is obsolete. GUI text has been removed. Use UI.text instead. I know exactly what that means, so I'm going to show you how to fix this error. Double click, and it's going to open up your code editor. Mine is Visual Studio 2017. And as we see here, it highlights this bit of code. I'm not going to worry about anything underneath it because when we have an error, there is a huge likelihood that the very first line that is causing an error is causing anything else underneath to have an error as well. Now that error was right. GUI text is obsolete. As you can see here, if I hover over GUI text, it tells me GUI text is obsolete. It has been removed. Please use UI.text instead. Now we can't just type UI.text into here, because that's not how we approach this. What we need to do is we need to use the UI namespace up here in the using directives. We need to type using Unity engine dot, and then this is where we're going to type UI. Add a semicolon to the end of that, and you've just imported a new set of namespaces so that we can use text instead of GUI text. So go ahead and delete GUI text and type capital T EXT text. Let me show you what will happen if you aren't using UnityEngine.ui. I'm going to comment out this line by putting 2 forward slashes before it to create a comment. It automatically turns white instead of the green color it was before, and it has this red squiggly line under it. It says, the type or namespace name text could not be found. Are you missing a directive or an assembly reference? We were missing a directive. It's up here. So I'm going to undo that change, and now it goes back to normal. Our code can save and compile. Let's press Ctrl S. And there are no more errors in this script, so we have done great. Let's exit out of this script and go back to our project. It's going to load. And we have gotten a couple more warnings, but we don't have to worry about that. Just press clear and it goes away. If you get an error as well and it disappears once you press clear, that's a good chance you should not worry about it, unless it's persistent and it comes up the same time whenever you're trying to actually do something. But I just mean as you're importing the standard assets themselves, you should not be getting any warnings or errors that you can't deal with. And I just showed you how to fix the most common one that you're going to run into. I'm going to show you how to make a floor this time. I'm sure that some of you are sighing in relief. All of our floors are just scaled cubes, and we don't need to make them now that we have the standard assets, because I am going to click over here at the top of the project window, and I am going to type floor and press enter. Make sure it's search, and there are multiple floors that I can choose from. I like this one. As you can see, there's a little preview here. If I click and drag, I can actually see what it looks like. I think we are going to use that first one right here. I'm going to click and drag from my project window to my hierarchy. Right now, it doesn't have a material, so I'm going to go ahead and type materials. And I'm gonna just click on one of these first. Navy grid sounds like a very appropriate material for this. Yes, that looks like a great floor. So you can also find navy grid by just typing navy grid. It's not only going to show you the material, but also the image texture that's used in that material. If I click onto navy grid, right here, next to albedo, is this little box, and it's usually not full, but this time it is. That shows you exactly what image texture it's using to create this material here. I'm going to go back to Navy Grid. There we go. So that's where you would find this material. And again, to find the floor, you just type floor. You can also try typing other things, like let's try coin. Nothing comes up. So now we know that there are no coins for the Unity standard assets. Let's try ball. There are multiple balls for the Unity standard assets, and they are actually roller balls. So I am going to click back onto the standard assets root folder. A root folder means that since this contains a lot of different smaller subfolders, the standard assets folder will be called the root folder, just like this assets folder is the root assets folder. Let's scale this floor a little bit more. Notice how, since it's not a cube, it's a floor object, the scale coordinates are 1, 1, 1, when typically they wouldn't be when you're scaling a cube out to this size, but since it's not a cube, this is its original base shape, it's 1, 1, 1. So you got to keep that in mind while scaling, that when we increase the x and z axis, it's going to automatically increase it by a lot more than it normally would if it's just a cube. So I'm going to type 10, and for the z coordinate, I'm also going to type 10. I'm going to save my scene by pressing Control S. To bring your first person view into this scene, we are going to press the characters folder, double click to open it, and you're going to see this folder here. It's called first person character. Double click on that, and then go to prefabs. Double click on that prefabs folder, and you will see both of the available prefabs for the first person character controller. What we want is the first one. I'm going to click and drag that game object to the hierarchy to add it. Make sure you drag your FPS controller out from the ground. It's probably going to start out at 0, 0, 0, like this. I would take your Y position on the Y axis and increase it by 2. Press Control S to save. We want to make sure that our floor has a collider because this isn't a primitive object from Unity, the game engine. This is just a 3D mesh, and we need to make sure that we add a box collider to it. So go to Add Component and type Box Collider right here. Make sure you are not clicking Box Collider 2D. We are in 3D, so we want to make sure we click Box Collider, the first one. Now, as you see from that green line, we have a box collider. The last step before pressing play to test our scene is we want to make sure we delete our main camera, because this FPS controller adds a camera component right here to the first person character game object underneath the FPS controller parent game object. And we have our camera right here, and we can't have two cameras, so we are going to select the main camera, right click, and press delete. Then we are going to press Control S to save our scene. Now let's press play. So I'm moving around with the WASD keys, but I can also move around with the arrow keys and the touchpad. When I use the WASD keys, I prefer to use a mouse to look around. It's kind of hard to use my mouse and use the arrow keys, so when I use my arrow keys, I switch to moving around with my touchpad, which you can do at any point. You can use whatever is more comfortable to you, but all works. I'm still using the WASD keys and the touchpad, and then press space bar to jump. I'm going to press the escape key, and that's going to unlock my cursor. You couldn't see it before because it makes it very hard to move around when you can see the cursor and when it's not locked to the screen. So I am going to press play with my unlocked cursor to exit play mode. Now I'm going to show you how to adjust some of the settings of the first-person controller so that you can have a custom experience. Make sure that you have your FPS controller game object selected and go over here to the first-person controller script. You can see that we have many different variables that you can tweak, including jump speed. Right now, our jump speed is 10. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to press escape to unlock my cursor and press play. Now I'm going to change jump speed to 50 and press enter. Let's press Control S. Whoa, look at that. That's pretty fun. So if you were making something where your character was a creature or a robot of some sort that could jump very high, that is how you would do that. I'm going to change my jump speed back to 10. And now I want to show you what happens if we modify the gravity multiplier. Right now it is 2. This gives our physics in-game more realistic gravity. But if I wanted to make it more realistic on the moon, like as opposed to on Earth, I would press 0.5, and I just changed my gravity multiplier to 0.5. Now let's press play. Now much slower, I jump much higher. I kind of hover in the air as I jump from place to place. If I run and jump, I'll jump even farther. And how I'm running is by holding shift as I run forward. I hold shift, then I press W to move forward, then I press spacebar to jump. I'm going to press escape, press the play button to exit play mode, and now I'm going to change gravity back to 2. I can also change my walk and run speed. I can make it so that my normal walk speed is the speed of how I run, and my run speed can be extra fast, 50, so all of the normal settings except for walk speed is higher and run speed is higher as well. I'm going to save my scene and press play. Now I am just naturally much faster, and if I, that's kind of jarring. If I hold shift, I run very fast. Into the void. Now I want to show you the third-person character controller. So let's take our floor prototype. I am going to rename it floor, and then I am going to select it in the hierarchy, right-click, and press copy. Now we are going to go to our scenes folder. That's in our root assets folder, the scenes folder. We are going to right-click and press create scene and call it third person. Double click on that scene to open it. Make sure that you save your previous scene to be able to leave it. And now we are going to right click on the hierarchy and press paste. That is going to give us our floor in the exact same place, in the exact same state. I am going to press Control S. The reason why we did this is because I needed a main camera. Now let's go and click on our standard assets once again. Double click on our characters folder. Click on third person. Double click to open the folder. and then double click on prefabs. The one we want is the second, the one that's called third person controller. Click and drag this onto the hierarchy, and now we have a character who is right in the center. We don't have to adjust him. Let's press play and see what happens after saving our scene. I can move around with the WASD keys. This is Ethan. I am bringing him up to the camera. This is Unity's default third-person character. This is a pretty cool mesh. It is pre-animated, and all of the animations are already set up in an animator. The movement is already set up in a script, just like the first-person controller. I can jump around and have a fun time. Let's press play again to exit play mode. Let's adjust some of the settings like we did with the first-person character controller. Here we have a variable called jump power. That sounds fun. Let's change that from 6 to 15. Press Ctrl S and press play. There we go. He jumps much higher this time. For him, if you hold shift, it actually slows him down because he runs as a default. And to give you more control over his movement, they want to make sure you're able to slow him down whenever you want to. So they give you this shift button so that you can slow him from running to walking. I'm running, and then if I hold shift, I am walking around. And now we have the power to jump like this. Let's press play to exit play mode. I'm going to press Ctrl Z, and that's going to change our jump power back to 6. I'm going to adjust our gravity multiplier. Just like before, the default is 2, and I'm going to change our gravity multiplier to 0.5. Now let's press play. He doesn't jump higher, but he takes a longer time. He might jump a little bit higher. He definitely stays in the air longer, though, because his gravity is much slower. I'm going to use the slider bar to make the gravity 4. This should make it so it is very hard for him to jump. It's kind of like Dragon Ball Z, if any of you have watched that. The room of training, where gravity is much stronger than it normally is. Gravity's pushing down on Ethan much harder, so it is much harder for him to jump. He will become a Super Saiyan in no time. Alright, let's press play and exit play mode. I'm going to change the gravity by pressing Ctrl Z until it goes back to 2. Now I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit. We are going to move a little bit closer by pulling this blue arrow here towards him. Then I am going to move my green arrow a little bit higher. I'm going to press this rotate tool and click and drag the red circle that represents the x-axis down a little bit. I'm going to position it a little bit higher. I'm gonna press Ctrl S. Now let's see what happens when we drag our main camera into the third person controller. Press Ctrl S again to save, and then let's press the play button to play. If I use my W key, it moves me forward. And then if I press my D key and my A key, it'll allow me to change the orientation of my character. I'll press Shift to slow me down to walk mode. Turn, I'm pressing D. Now I am pressing A. If I press S, I get a problem, and that's because I do not actually have a camera rig properly set up. This is just a very basic one. But for now, we won't press S, and we'll just experience it like this. We can also take our main camera out. I'm going to move it back at the top, and then I'm going to adjust it so that it is in a better position for a fixed camera. I'm going to press Control S. Now let's press play. This is what we call a fixed camera. I am moving Ethan around. I can press S, it moves him back. D moves him left. Press W to move forward. S to move back. A to move left. D to move right. And then of course press spacebar to jump. Let's press play to exit this. Now, let's delete our third-person controller by right-clicking on the object in the hierarchy and pressing delete. Go back to your standard assets, make sure that you are in your characters folder, and then go ahead and click the Rollerball folder. Go to prefabs. We are going to click and drag this one prefab called Rollerball into the hierarchy. Right now, when I double clicked, I could see that this ball is under the map, so I am going to make sure it is at 0, 2, oh that's too much, I'm going to go 0, 1, 0 for our coordinates. That is an example of a vector 3, like we talked about today in class. 0, 1, 0 is our position. Now I'm going to press Control S. First, before I press play, let's click on a rollerball and notice that there is a script called ball, and ball use your control. We have the same like jump power as we did, and like move power, that would probably be the speed, like walking speed and running speed for the other two characters. But for this one, let's just test as is for now. And I am going to use the WASD keys to move. As you can see, I've got this cool little ball. It looks like a tennis ball. That makes me want to add a material to it. So really quickly, I am going to press play to exit play mode. I'm going to right click to create and then create a material. To create a material, I'm going to put green as my name. Then I'm going to drag the green material to my roller ball. Let's verify that that material is on our roller ball. Yep, it says green right here. Now let's click our green material and change the albedo right here to a tennis ball-like color. Very good. Let's press Control S and press play on our scene. I'm rolling around. Ooh, whoa, press spacebar to jump. I haven't changed any settings. All I did was press spacebar. This is the default setting, is for this ball to be very flexible, very fast and swift. If I hold shift, we go even faster. And now let's modify the jump power. I'm going to exit out of play mode, go down to our ball script and change the jump power from 4 to 2 because I felt like we jumped pretty far for a default jumping level. Let's test our scene again. That seems better to me. and I teach you how to make a rollerball script in not quite like this rollerball script, but one of your own in yesterday's tutorial number 1, simple movement. So that is day 3, tutorial number 1. If you want to make one of these of your own, but you also have the option to play with the prefab that it gives you. This has been a reminder of how to find and download these standard assets by Unity Technologies, and also how to use the characters that they include. Thank you and have a wonderful day.